I recently read a report on the Washington school shooting that took place in October of 2014. In that particular incident, a 15-year-old high school student shot and killed four of his friends and then shot himself, committed suicide. According to the report, the assailant texted his parents before the shooting and stated that he was not happy. That particular statement did not surprise me because I think that our society is tending towards social isolation. That is, more and more young people are becoming engrossed with their electronic devices, especially with the mobile phones, consequently spending almost all of their free time and even class time in many cases on their mobile devices, either playing electronic games, texting, or chatting. Social interactions among children and teenagers seem to be becoming replaced by modern technology. Can we impute modern technology to the seemingly increase in mass shootings in our schools? Is the obsession with modern technology actually causing reduced social physical interaction among young people these days? This 15-year-old shooter did not verbally tell anyone of his plans to kill his friends and kill himself. Rather, he texted his feelings. There was no emotion involved, as would be the case in a person-to-person conversation. He had friends and parents, but he was not happy. I wondered what kind of social interactions he had with his friends and with his parents. Why was he so unhappy that he felt he could no longer live? I have a personal experience that I'd like to share. Every morning between 7:45 and 8 o'clock, I pass four students at the corner of their street in a very nice suburban neighborhood. The four students, who appear to be around 14 years old, include three boys and a girl. They always stood at the corner of the street as they wait for their school bus. What I always notice is how each was usually in his or her own little world, isolated from everybody else. These students were never engaged in conversations. The boys were generally either playing with their mobile phones or looking out for the bus, while the girl, without exception, was always chatting on her mobile phone. There was never any interaction among these four students. I've never even seen them looking at one another. This lack of social interaction among children and teenagers is bound to have some effect that lead to physical social isolation. Psychologically, children and teenagers need to have peer groups and physical social interactions among themselves in order to develop as normal humans. So, in the case of the Washington high school shooter, why was he so unhappy to the point of committing murder-suicide? I think that maybe he was not having a healthy relationship at home, and I stressed maybe. And that his physical social interaction with his friends was not that good either. I remember the scene in the movie Legally Blonde in which Elle Woods, in defending her client, stated that she believed her client was innocent because, according to her, exercise gives you endorphins. Endorphins make you happy. Happy people just don't shoot their husbands. They just don't. Quote unquote. That's a movie that I really like, and especially that scene. I like that scene very much. Therefore, in trying to understand why this 15-year-old boy was so unhappy, I started to think how students these days must feel isolated due maybe to lack of attention and affection. Teachers used to be extended parents. They could scold you and mold you. They could give you a hug or hugs and kisses. and appease your social woes. Nowadays, if a teacher gives you a hug, he or she could be charged with inappropriate touching or worse. So, what we have is a society of children and teenagers who may be lacking attention and affection, which I personally impute to modern technology. The irony is that modern technology should make everything easier and give us more time to spend together. But what we have is people becoming obsessed with their personal technological devices that they tend to spend more time in an artificial world and lose touch with the real world. So, children and teenagers who may be lacking attention and affection at home and then at school may not be well adjusted with peers and teachers and may tend to be unhappy. Unhappy children and teenagers, especially in this day and age, may tend to display antisocial behavior. Unfortunately, some of these behaviors result in fatalities. Children and teenagers need attention and affection to develop into well-adjusted individuals. This new artificial world of texting and social media is no substitute for the real world of sharing and caring on a personal level. So, unfortunately, we may continue to see mass shootings as we continue to live in an artificial world devoid of real affection and attention. The solution is for parents to treat children and teenagers with affection. Give them love and attention. Show them affection so that they in turn may know how to be affectionate. If they are not shown affection, then they may not know how to show affection to others. They need attention, even if they pretend as if they don't. Parents need to take away the mobile phones from children. Why do children need mobile phones? Especially expensive iPhones and the like. With no electronic distractions, children may be forced to interact and get to know one another on a more personal level, which could result in reduced isolation and more meaningful interpersonal relations among themselves, in and outside the classroom. Stronger friendships developed from personal interactions instead of artificial ones may result in stronger social bonds among children that lead to better, well-adjusted individuals later in life. The improved interpersonal relations may result in less frequent mass shootings by unhappy people. End of story.